Hi everyone, this is Sasha from Women's Fight News. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe. And let's start with this fight. So it's Ramla Ali is fighting against Avril Mathie. Now, Rak, we'll go to you first. Have you seen much of Avril? Because there's not a ton of footage of her online.
Um, so Avril Mathie, I'm aware who she is in Australia, or similar to your friends, an Australian boxer, decided to take her careers overseas, and she's been getting herself about. She put up a pretty good, decent record of it. But outside of that, I've not seen much footage of her fights. I do know she does modeling. I do know she does quite a bit outside of boxing. She has got a decent profile. But I think Ramla may be probably a bit too much for her. Ramla's what was an Olympian. She fought at a pretty decent level as an amateur. So far, she's been building up. She's been having a variation of fighters she's been fighting against. And especially from her last win, the way she got that girl out of there so quickly, I think right now Ramla definitely is probably the favourite going to this fight. But it's an opportunity for Avril. We'll see what she brings to the table in the day.
Mm. Yeah. Susie, have you seen much of Avril? Like I say, I managed to only see, I think, two small clips really of her.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of one of her fights, and I've seen bits of other fights. I think, I mean, like you're saying, Avril's got quite a bit of a profile, sort of outside of boxing, more modelling, that kind of thing. So we see more of her that way, and she brings a lot to the table because she's high profile, brings eyes to, again, different audience to the event. In terms of the actual boxing, I think that Ramla definitely wins one for me. Avril's got looks on paper a bit of a decent record, but if you actually look at who she's fought, there's no one of note. So she might surprise us on the night, but just based on who she's actually fought and just looking at the two styles between Ramla and Avril, I just feel like that there are two different points in their career.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that Ramla's that one level, quite a few levels above at the moment. So I think it's going to be Ramla's going to sort of outclass her, definitely.
Yeah. It's a funny one because I feel like it's one of them fights where they've put it together because you look at the record and you can say, right, they're both unbeaten. But really, I think when you dig into it, I'm not convinced this is a step up for Ramla at all. The clips that I've seen of Avril, I think she's just too slow. I think her hand speed's too slow. Her foot speed isn't great. I just think Ramla's going to pick her apart a little bit. And I think Avril's been super active. I think she had one fight in 2022, two fights in 2021, and one fight in 2020. So it's not very active. I'm just not convinced. And I'm not convinced it's a step up that I was expecting Ramla to have. Obviously, she blew away her last opponent in the first round in Saudi Arabia. And I was expecting I think she went off and she was injured then, wasn't she, Ramla Ali? But I don't know, I was just expecting a bigger step up for this fight. And on paper, it looks like it. But from what I've seen of Avril, I'm not convinced it even goes the distance, if I'm honest.
So the thing about Ramla and Avril, the good thing about them is that they're female fighters of today's modern day and age, where they bring a lot more to the table than just what they do inside the ring. Both girls have extensive portfolios outside. Avril does modeling, she does quite a few influencer bits. Ramla does a lot of civil rights movements, a lot of speeches for her home country. So both of them are high profile fighters in their own right and high profile names in their own fields. So definitely on the boxing side, I would say that Ramla is probably a bit further ahead. She's definitely the favourite to win. But I do think it's great when you're getting two female fighters who have such a broad profile, bringing it to these kind of events and kind of showcasing and showing that this is what I do and this is how good I am. It is a good reflection for their fans, for extended fans, and people just generally around the sport. Like these girls have names for themselves and giving this platform, giving this opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good point. Like I say, I mean, Avril obviously brings fans and eyes to the sport as well. It's a good platform for her. She might take advantage of it. But yeah, just from what I've seen, because as well, something with Ramla is she works that jab very well. She's got good footwork. But the last fight, she was so aggressive. She was so aggressive in that last fight, and she picked her shots off well. And just from what I've seen of Avril, she kind of, and again, I've only seen two fights, but she stood very central and was just willing to trade. And I think that's a very, very dangerous game against someone like Ramla Ali.
Yeah, she hasn't the head movement. She's not got
Yeah.
the, just get caught.
Yeah, and again, I mean, to be fair, like I say, there's not tons of footage out there, and you always step up when your opponent, you know, is a higher level. So you never know. I get why they're doing it. I get why this is the opponent they've picked. Like I say, on paper, I mean, you've got Ramla Ali as 7-0 with 2 KOs, and then you've got Avril as 8-0 with 1 draw, and she's 3 KOs. So on paper, they look virtually even. So at least I suppose you've got that for the build up for different eyes, I suppose, coming to the sport. But for me, I think it's an easy fight for Ramla.
And also, Avril seems like the loveliest person as well. So I think come fight week, like you're saying, if you're looking at it in terms of the build up and the personalities and doing the promo for it, she's going to come across brilliant in that regard.
Yeah, and 2 models, because obviously Ramla Ali's a model as well. So you've got 2 models going at it as well. But yeah, like I say, I think for me, this is an easy one from Ramla. And I would really like to see quite a big step up in the next fight when she gets past this one. Definitely. I believe this is for a title as well, isn't it? A super bantamweight title.
Yeah, the
IBF Intercontinental Super Bantamweight.
Right. So both going for the first title.
Which kind of then links in because, of course, Shanika Johnson is the current IBF Super Bantamweight champion. She's due to fight Ellie Scottney sometime in the next couple of months. Mm-hmm. So whoever wins the fight between Ramla Ali and Avril Mathie, it's kind of lined up for the winner. Of course, Eddie Hearn's probably expecting it to be Ellie Scottney, who's in his camp. It does then line up the winner, who could potentially see themselves fighting in a title shot at some point in the year.
But then, so that's my thing though. For instance, Ramla Ali, we know she's a fantastic fighter, but I just think when you look at who she's fought so far, would you confidently say she would be ready for a world title this year?
She's not ready, but what a lot of promoters do is they will get their fighters in position, so when they eventually are ready, they can put them in there. I don't think Ramla Ali will be ready to face Ellie Scottney this year, but you know, you put an IBF ranking on her, an IBF belt on her. If anything happens, if Scottney vacates, if Scottney decides to move up or down in weight, that belt then shifts in line for Ramla, which then stays inside Eddie Hearn's stable. So, yeah. And if Ramla thought she wanted to dare to be great and said, you know what, my next fight, I want a world title shot, give me Ellie Scottney, then it's already in line. It's just about paving the way and dotting the lines, dotting the T's and crossing the I's. So when you want to fully sign it off, it can be done.
Do you know what I quite like, though, is the fact that Ramla is taking her time. Mm-hmm. I don't think we see enough of that, and we've talked about that before. I like the fact that she's just been on these random shows around the world. She doesn't mind that she's on first or second. She's just getting those sort of fights under a belt and just continuing that way and building up her sort of ring time. And I like that because that's obviously what the men do more, and the women are expected to suddenly step up really quickly. So I think, yes, I'd like to see her step up in the next fight, but not too much. A reasonable step up and not a world title step up.
Yeah, I was literally about to say the same thing. She has taken it steady. And like you said, I do like that. There isn't a massive rush. And you see the improvements, especially a last fight. I know it didn't last long. But even in that, you saw the aggression in her for the first time, I thought. After this fight, I presume she's going to move to 8-0. Maybe in a couple more fights with gradual steps up. It'll be quite a nice little path that maybe for next year she'll be ready for a world title. But like I say, she's super exciting. Everyone raves about Ramla Ali, especially at pros. Anytime she boxes, it's always the pros that are on tweeting about how good she is, and everyone compliments, especially her jab. So, people enjoy watching her as well. Right, next fight. So we all going with Ramla Ali wins that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shocks there.